I just built a new bookshelf, which is why I probably look sweaty and gross. And before I reorganize my bookshelves, I wanted to show you all of the books that I got this summer. I mean, granted, summer is not over quite yet, but I'm hoping all these books that I bought will be the only books I buy this summer, because I have bought a lot. It kind of happens when you work in a bookstore and you love books. You know, you just walk by, you see a beautiful book, you pick it up, you're like, this looks great, this sounds great, and next thing you know, you're at the register and you've already purchased it. Granted, that actually has happened to me this summer. I just don't know how I got to the register. I was just there, I was buying books, and I was like, okay, guess it's happened. It's kind of a problem, but I don't mind just because it's books and I love books. I've also been obsessed with watching booktubers for a while, but lately I've been watching a lot of book hauls, and there's like one of my favorite booktube videos to watch, so I thought I'd film one, especially since I bought enough books to actually do a book haul. And since I bought so many books, let's get started because this is going to be a long video. First book I got is Lumen A, and this is by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff, and this is the first in the Lumen A files. Yeah, the Lumen A files. I think this is going to be a trilogy. The second book I think is coming out either this month or next month. I'm not entirely sure. But I hear so much about this book. And also this hardcover, I usually just like to buy the paperbacks, but this hardcover is gorgeous. I mean, look at this. How cool is that? How freaking cool. This is a YA sci-fi book that I think takes place in the future, in space. The cool thing about this book is that it is told in a very unique way. It's told through like case files and emails, and I think that's what it is. Just a really cool way of telling a story, and I hear everybody loves it, so I figured I would like it too. Next I have See Me by Nicholas Sparks. I am that basic white girl and I love Nicholas Sparks. And this is one of his brand new books, and it had come out in hardcover, and I was like, okay, I'll wait till it comes out in paperback because I love paperback. I remember setting up one of the shelves and this just came out in paperback, and I was putting it on the shelf, and I was like, save one for me so I can buy it later. So I honestly don't even know what this is about, but I'm assuming it's a very Nicholas Sparks story where, you know, there's romance, but there's also something that's keeping them apart, or there's some sort of disease or sickness or something. But either way, it's Nicholas Sparks. I know I'm gonna love it. Next, I got Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil by John Brent. And this is from the true crime section. So I've lately kind of been into true crime. I've been not diving in it. I've been like swimming in the shallow end of the true crime section right now, and I kind of love it. And this one was recommended to me by one of my coworkers to help me get into true crime just a little bit more. But this is a story about these women who live in Savannah, Georgia, and they kind of create a club and talk about their husband's suicides. But it's gotten really great reviews. I was reading about it on Goodreads as well, and everyone seems to love it there too, so I'm excited. Next, I have A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. This finally came out in paperback, so I decided to pick it up. And I really want to read a Sarah J. Maas book. I mean, I want to read her Throne of Glass series so bad, but with series of books, I love to marathon them, so I like to wait till all the books are out and then get them. But I decided to just grab this because everyone loves the second book in the series that came out. So I'm just going to wait for that to go on paperback too, and then eventually once I have all the books, I'll probably marathon read them. So basically, this is a YA sci-fi fantasy book. It's kind of like a Beauty and the Beast retelling from what I've heard, but this is also kind of got like a really juicy, sexy romance, and there's fairies involved and wolves, and it just seems amazing and so up my alley because I've been really getting into fantasy lately, so I really think I'll like this. So next I picked up The Heart of Betrayal by Mary E. Pearson, and this is the second book in the Remnant Chronicles, with the first book being called The Kiss of Deception. And I have The Kiss of Deception in paperback. I have not read it yet, but I hear so many great things about this series that I know I'm just going to love it because it sounds so freaking cool. I'll explain the description of the first book because I didn't want to read the description of this one because I feel like it'll give things away in the first book. So the first book, The Kiss of Deception, is a YA fantasy book about this girl who is getting married off, but she doesn't want to get married, and so she runs away. But on her way, she runs into two guys, and one of them is the prince that she was supposed to marry, and the other is an assassin that was sent to kill her. And the whole time reading this, you don't know which guy is which, and you also read it from all three people's perspectives, and so it just seems really, really interesting. Next, I picked up Between Shades of Grey by Ruta Sepetys, and this, again, is a book I heard a lot about and people seem to really love, and this is a really big tearjerker. Everyone says they like ugly cry reading this book. This is a historical fiction YA novel, and I love historical fiction, so I know I'm going to love this. But this takes place, I believe, during World War II, and this girl is being sent to a prison camp. And that's really all I know about it. But I also just really love this cover. It's so simple and subtle and so beautiful. I can't help it. It's great. This next book was a cover by, and that is DC Trip by Sarah Benincasa. This cover, I just freaking love it. It's red, white, and blue, so obviously I had to pick it up. I love anything that's red, white, and blue. But then I read the back of the book, and it actually seems like a really interesting book. And this is about a girl who is chaperoning this high school field trip for the very first time. They're going to Washington, D.C., but all these high school kids are, like, rambunctious and just out of control, and there's also this other cute guy chaperone who she's also trying to impress. Next, I got 99 Days by Katie Codugno, and this is a YA romance book that I've had my eye on since it came out, and I finally just decided to just bite the bullet and buy it because it seems super, super cute. So this is just, it takes place over 99 days of Julia and Patrick's relationship, and just like the ups and downs and all that jazz, and it just seems like really cute. I love romance books too. I just love all books. Books are great. I just want to hug every single one and read every single one, but there's just never enough time in the day, unfortunately. Next, I picked up The Paris Wife by Paula McLean. This has gotten so much praise. Everybody loves this book. The reason I picked this up is because it is my book club's book of the month for this month. I'm already reading it, and it is phenomenal. This is an adult historical fiction novel about Ernest Hemingway's wife. And it's just about their romance, but also something comes between them, and they have to try to figure it out, and just whatever. All I know is I am really loving this book right now. The way she writes is so intriguing and captivating, and you just want to continue reading on and on and on. So I can't wait to finish this by the end of this month. It's going to be so good. So I got Auto Manifest by Sean Sullivan, and the reason I picked this up is because Sean Sullivan, the author of the book, is a friend of mine, and I wanted to support him and read his book. And it's a short, like, poetry book. It looks like a poetry book. I'm pretty sure it's a poetry book. Sean, is it a poetry book? But yeah, so I decided to support my friend, pick this up, and I'm excited to read it. Next, I got After You by Jojo Moyes. Again, this is another one where I finally saw it in paperback, so I had to pick it up. I loved Me Before You. I was crying reading the book. I cried watching the movie. I can't wait to see what happens afterwards. Since I can't really explain the synopsis of this book without giving spoilers for Me Before You, in case you haven't watched the movie or read the book yet, which I don't understand why you haven't. But basically, Me Before You, it's about this girl who becomes like a caretaker almost for this guy named Will, who is a quadriplegic. He becomes he's really nasty in the beginning, but then they sort of bond, and they create this friendship, and then they create this beautiful romance, and complications just happen that I don't want to talk about because I'm still very upset about it. But anyway, After You, yeah. Then I also got I'll Meet You There by Heather Demetrios. I've been wanting to read a Heather Demetrios book for a while, and so I saw this was in paperback, So I just picked it up, and this is just a YA fiction novel about a boy and a girl who are basically, they're both stuck in the same town and just can't seem to get out. The girl lives in a trailer park and she just wants to break free of it, but there's something that's like keeping her there and holding her back. The guy is a war veteran coming back home from war, dealing with like PTSD and all this other stuff, and they end up finding each other and creating this great friendship that I think blossoms into romance as well. Then I picked up some books that have a theme, and the reason I picked up these books is because, spoiler alert, I am writing a book. Me and two of my friends, we decided we're going to write a book together, and I don't really want to say what the book is about, but I will tell you that there is cloning in it. So I got some books about cloning to kind of do some research. First I got Never Let Me Go by Kazu Ishiguro. This is a fiction book that apparently has cloning in it. I read the synopsis and it didn't say anything about cloning, but one of my coworkers was like, this is a great book to read about cloning. So I trust her, and this is also a very popular book. I see people buy this every day at the bookstore that I work at. So yeah, so I'm not really like 100% sure what this is about. It does have cloning in it apparently, but I do know it's about these three friends. They were friends in high school, they kind of separated, and then something happens that kind of brings them all together again in their adult life. And then my coworker also recommended for me to read The Autumn of the Patriarch by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. Again, this is another one that I read the back and there was like nothing about cloning in the back of the book, but apparently it does have cloning in it, is what she says. This one is an adult fiction book about, I believe, a like dictator and just his rule over the patriarch. I really am not 100% sure, but that's what I figured. The other book I got about cloning is What We Talk About When We Talk About Clone Club. This is a science book, so I wanted to know like the non-fiction about cloning, the science behind the cloning, and this is also talking about the ethics of cloning as well. It mainly focuses on the TV show Orphan Black, which I have not seen. I would like to see it. It looks really cool. So I wanted a very like science-y book about cloning to make the cloning in the book that I'm writing seem a little bit more believable. So next, I went a little crazy at Book Outlet. Now, I love Book Outlet. If you don't know about Book Outlet, I don't know where you've been, but you have not been on BookTube. BookOutlet.com is one of the best book shopping sites out there, and it's my favorite to go to because I can get hardbacks, hardcovers, for like $3. So all the books that are in this box, total, less than $50. So first I have Madly by Amy Alward, and this is the first in, I don't know what series it's called, maybe the Madly series, but Amy Alward is actually Zoe Suggs' ghostwriter. I mean, if you know Zoe Suggs, she's Zoella on YouTube. She wrote the Girl Online series, and this book series just seems really like cute and fun, and basically it's about this girl who, she comes from a family of alchemists, and the princess of the land ends up taking a very, very, very strong love potion. And so it's up to her and her family to basically find an antidote. But they're not the only people trying to find the antidote. So it's this other very gorgeous hunky man trying to find this antidote as well. So I'm assuming there's going to be some romance going on. Next, I got The Bands of Mourning by Brandon Sanderson. I love Brandon Sanderson. I'm so happy I found out about him. I'm so happy I read his Mistborn trilogy. It was so good. This is the 6th book in the Mistborn series. I read the first 3. And then 4, 5, and 6, I believe, are like a side series that takes place, I want to say maybe 500 years after the 3rd book ended. I have the 4th book. I thought this was the 5th one, but it turns out this is the 6th one. So I just need to get the 5th book, and then I can start marathoning that one as well. I'll just explain, I guess, the Mistborn series. So this is an adult fantasy series that takes place in a world where some people have powers with metal. They can like ingest metal and it can do certain things, give them certain powers for certain things. And they have to take down the Lord Ruler because he's been ruling for 1,000 years and he's kind of a dick. It mainly follows the character Vin, who she was like living on the streets, starving, super poor, and then she finds out she has these powers and she becomes super powerful and badass. And it's just a really fun ride, and I feel like I did a terrible job explaining this series, but that's what it is. Alright, so next in this box of goodies, I've got The Rocks by Peter Nichols. To be honest, this was strictly a cover buy. I really enjoyed this cover. This cover is beautiful, and the font, like, this is just beautiful. All I know is that it's an adult fiction book. That's really all I know about it. I know nothing about this book. So hopefully the inside is beautiful as well. That'd be great. Next is Naomi and Eli's No Kiss List by David Levithan and Rachel Cohn. This is about a girl and a guy. They're best friends, and they both come up with a list of people that the other one is not allowed to kiss. But then Naomi gets a boyfriend, and she sees her boyfriend and Eli kissing. Drama! And then I also got The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out the Window and Disappeared by Jonas Jonasson. This just looks like a really cute, fun book. This is an adult fiction book about an old man who's about to turn 100 years old, and he's living in a retirement home, and he is bored and sick of his life, so he literally just climbs out the window and goes on an adventure. Like, how fun does that book sound? Yes. So next I have The Shell Collector by Anthony Doerr, and this is a collection of short stories. I wish I could say I love Anthony Doerr, but I haven't read his book yet. I know. His book, All the Light We Cannot See, has been on the bestseller list for like 2 years straight now. I do own it, I just haven't read it yet, but I hear nothing but great things about it. And so I figure I'd also get his short stories collection. Next, also from Book Outlet, I got Eat, Pray, Love by Elizabeth Gilbert. This, again, is a movie that probably everyone by now has seen. I have seen it. I enjoyed the movie. I decided to also pick up the book and read it, because why not? This is just about Elizabeth Gilbert, and she, like, traveled the world to basically find herself, I think. I really can't remember. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie, but my roommate says she absolutely loves this book, so I probably will like it too. Next, I got Denton Little's Death Date by Lance Rubin. I have been eyeing this one since it came out, and so when I saw it on Book Outlet for super, super cheap, I just had to get it. And this is just a YA book about Denton Little's last day on Earth. He's gonna die today, and so this is just how he lives his last day. And apparently it's not a morbid story at all. Apparently it's really funny and humorous. And then last but not least from Book Outlet, I know we're finally at the end of the Book Outlet section, and that is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This is a hefty book. It's like 800 pages. I'm excited about it. I've been wanting to read a Donna Tartt book for a while, and this was the one that gets the most praise from everybody. So I figured, why not get started with the one that everyone loves the most? To be honest, I really don't know what it's about. I just know that it's about this orphan boy and his life. I don't know what a goldfinch has to do with it, but we will find out when we read the book, eventually. And last but not least, I got all the books in the Harry Potter series. Yay! Oh my god, I can't hold them all up at once. I hate to admit this, but I have not read the Harry Potter series. Oh my god, please don't hate me, please don't hate me. I did read the first 3 books when they came out, so back in like elementary school, I read the first 3. And then the books just started getting too long for young Ellen, and she was just like, you know what, I'll just stick to the movies. I regret that decision I made. Now, I'm finally gonna read Harry freaking Potter. So of course I decided to get the version that, you know, has the really cool illustrations on it, and it's got the spines that create the picture of Hogwarts, because this is just an incredible version of the books. Okay, so I ended up buying just like a few more books this summer, just a few more, so I just want to quickly add them to this list. Bliss by Shay Mitchell and Michaela Blaney. And I like Shay Mitchell. She's on Pretty Little Liars. She seems really cool. I got to meet her as well. This also just seems like a really fun book, I guess. It's about these 3 friends. They're in their 20s, and it's just the ups and downs of living in your 20s. Like relationship-wise, career-wise, and just life-wise in general, and how your friends can help get you through the hard times. Kind of like where I'm at. 20s, ups and downs. Seems like it's mainly downs. And then I also got The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. As you can tell, this is going to be a movie because this is the movie poster. And I want to see the movie, so I decided, you know what, let's read the book before we see the movie, and they just came out with the movie poster, paperback editions. But this is an adult fiction novel about this couple who live in a lighthouse, and they've been trying to have kids for a couple of years now, but complications keep happening, and they just don't end up having a kid, until one day, a baby washes up on shore in front of their lighthouse, and they take the baby in, they raise the baby. Then a couple years later, they go to the mainland, and they realize that that decision that they made a couple years ago affected someone else's life on the mainland. Got a Whole New World by Liz Braswell. And this is, in case you can't tell, a young adult Aladdin retelling. And it's basically like the evil version of Aladdin, where if Jafar had found the magic lamp first, what the world would have been like. And I can tell you it would be evil. Very, very evil. And then, last but not least, the one that I am most excited about of all the purchases I've made this summer, and that is Daughter of Deep Silence. Not only does it have a great cover, look at it, it also seems like it's got a really great inside. The story is basically kind of like the young adult version of the TV show Revenge. If anyone watched that show or remembers that show, I miss it so much. But this is about a girl named Frances who was on a luxury yacht with some friends, and it got attacked and everyone died except for her. But the mayor and the mayor's son are saying that it was a rogue wave that killed everyone. So she decides to basically live her life as someone else until a couple years go by, and then she takes revenge on the people who attacked her and the people who lied about it. Back to Past Ellen. There we go, that concludes my summer book haul. I didn't even count how many books there are, but there are a lot. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please come back for more and subscribe. I do vlogs, I do just random little challenges and tags and stuff like that. So yeah, bye guys!